MT would like to know, how does automation figure into a test strategy?
Oh, awesome! That's absolutely a good question, and I will answer a second question in the question queue that I saw this afternoon as well. Is do you create a separate strategy for automation and all the other testing? I think the answer is yes and no, and let me explain how that works. Again, a test strategy for me is the what are you going to test and how are you going to test it. And the how can be that you're doing automation to create a pile of tests or checks, as I like to call them. So that's absolutely part of your test strategy. Is do you have to have a separate automation strategy? I sometimes I would say yes, and sometimes I would say no. What do I mean with that is it depends. It depends on who's making who's doing the automation. If it's the whole team collaborating, I would create one strategy. I would make automation absolutely part of like, hey, we're going to test this, and this we're going to do exploratory, this we're going to do with a static code analysis, and this risk we're going to mitigate with a pile of checks that we're going to build. Or if you're checking a date function, for instance, in a new functionality, okay, what can we do? And you're talking about it in refinement, and you say, wait a second, why not build a piece of code that will just push through 3 centuries of all the dates possible, just to see if it works? Why not? Can we do that? And then the developer will probably say, sure, let's do that. And then it becomes part of your strategy instantly. Sometimes you have to convince people to buy tooling, to give you budget, to build stuff, to get that test automation expert on board. Because I think testers are not the best automators on earth, and developers aren't either. Because I think it's somewhere in between there. You have to know stuff about coding, you have to know stuff about testing, and you have to know all the tricks about how to automate all those checks. So you have to learn that. And if you're in the beginning of that journey, you might want to create a special strategy how to do that. How are we going to collaborate on that? Not that I want it separated from the rest of the testing, but I want to emphasize that it's really hard to do. To do good checking, it's not, well, let's check everything because we can. I think, what are we going to automate and how? I think that's an art in itself. And that needs to be part of risk analysis, need to be part of your talking about test strategy. So do we need a separate one? Sometimes there can be a good reason, but most of the times automation is absolutely part of your test strategy.
Okay, cool. Thank you for that question, MT, or should I say Maggie? Thank you, Maggie, for that question.